Hi everybody, John Wright here, Director of Public Relations for Hardin County Schools, and we were going to do this question and answer session about preschool and kindergarten live, but the internet, what we all depend on so greatly, decided to take a little time out, and so we're recording this and we're going to play it back at a later date. So this is our question and answer session that we had planned to live stream, but instead we're recording it. And of course, you're always welcome, and this number will be at the bottom of the screen, and you can also at the end of the program we'll share it again. But 270-769-8911 is the number for our early childhood office. And we're going to talk with Carlina, Sharon, our Director of Early Childhood for Hardin County Schools. And Carlina, thanks for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
As
Glad
always.
to be here.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot over the years. Preschool, there's probably nothing more important than we do. Education is a house, and preschool and kindergarten is the foundation of that house. And if we don't get it right, we're swimming upstream the rest of the way, aren't we?
You are exactly right. It is definitely the foundation. And I would say birth to 5, birth to 6 is the foundation. You know, when you look at the way the brain works, 80% of the brain, 90% of the brain is kind of already in place, and habits are formed by then. So what we do from that birth to 5-year-old range is so critical. And, so much can be done with just reading to your child every day. When parents ask me, like, what is the one thing I can do that will make the biggest difference? I always tell them, read to your child every single day.
Even in the womb.
In the womb, even when they're, a month old and you don't know, just read something to them. And when they're to the point that you can have some conversation about it, talk about the vocabulary. It is amazing the difference in the number of words children who come from homes where they've been read to know compared to the children who don't have, are not read to each night. And I always tell families, you don't have to go out and buy lots of books. Read what you're reading. If you like reading the sports section, read the sports section to your child. Your child's going to love that, because they're going to love spending time with you. But they're also going to hear vocabulary words, and they're going to make sense of what's going on with this story, and they're going to realize that we read left to right, and that words make meaning, and that print means something. So it's just one of the most important things you can do.
I may have done that too much with my current senior in high school reading the sports page, because now she's as upset when Kentucky loses a basketball game as I am now. So I may have spilled over there. But I have heard you, Carlina, talk about just when you're driving in your car, talk about seeing the green sign and the red fire hydrant and things like that. In everyday conversations, those can be so educational.
Yes, very much so. And easy to do. When you're in the car and you're pointing things out, kids love playing games. So if you say, we're going to play the color game, can you find something that's red? They love being able to find things like that. Just to be able to have, because we want kindergartners to be able to come in and be able to do some rote counting, which just simply means I can count 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can set something up where I say a number, then you say a number. So from the car while I'm driving, I can say 1, and the child can say 2, I can say 3, and they can say 4. That's actually a pretty high skill, because you're not just counting in order, you're listening to somebody count the other number and you're adding to it. Or together you can count. You can make that a habit each night, and before you know it, your child will know how to count, your child will know how to listen to a story, how to read, how to listen to somebody read and make meaning from it.
What I'm hearing you say is it's really the simple things that we think, that we kind of take for granted, is that we really just need to make a focus of with our birth to age 5 children.
We certainly do, and I don't think families need anything. They do not need to go out and buy anything to make a positive impact on their child's education. It's simply conversation, talking about vocabulary, reading to them whatever you have that you're reading. It could be sorting socks. If you're doing laundry, sort socks into pairs. You're helping your child understand that this sock is like this sock and this one is different. Then you can teach them to count 1, 2, that's a pair, fold those up and set them aside. I mean, there's so many things that I think moms and dads have to do just to run a household, that they can make it more meaningful and educational and have their children help them with it. So there's so many life skills you're teaching kids just by involving them in it.
Kindergartners will take an assessment. I hate to say the word test at such an early age, but they will take an assessment at the beginning or near the beginning of the school year called the Brigance Assessment. Talk about that and what that proves, or what value we place on that.
Sure. It's actually, we call it the screener. It's a Brigance screener. Okay. And every kindergartner in the state of Kentucky takes that screener within the first 30 instructional days. And it's a baseline to see how ready they are for kindergarten. I say it probably measures what your community has offered you, what moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas have done with them, what kind of, if they've been in any kind of pre-kindergarten program, what that has been able to offer, what child care has been able to offer, because you're measuring them on some things they're going to learn in kindergarten, but also some things that the state would expect them to know. It's pretty simple things, and we've been very upfront with our families about what's on that assessment. We have a Facebook page called Kindergarten Readiness, and we put a lot of ideas on that page for families to be able to use. So it's just things like knowing your first name and your last name, your birth date, your age, your address, your phone number, being able to do some gross motor skills, being able to look at some shapes and then copy them, being able to say the alphabet, recognize and say it, being able to rote count to 30, being able to write your first name and your last name, and none of that is expected to be perfect, but having an awareness of all of that certainly is very helpful.
If that child is ready to do that on day one, we can maybe step on the gas a little bit when they get in kindergarten.
Yes, we certainly can. And families will get that information back. You will find out there are 3 categories that you actually score in. It is either ready with interventions, which means you knew a little bit, but you still have a lot that you're going to learn. Ready with enrichment, and that just means, I did a lot of that. I did great, and we need to step on the gas. I do think kindergarten is that age that, or that grade level that we have children that come from all ends of the spectrum. There are children that come in ready to read, and I think our kindergarten teachers who are fabulous meet those needs. There are kindergarten children who come in that are not, they don't have as much awareness with alphabet or numbers, and maybe don't quite know the difference between a number and a letter. And our kindergarten teachers do a great job of meeting that need too.
Right.
So there's a lot of differentiation in kindergarten.
We have several questions that people have submitted, and we'll get to those. But real quick, talk about preschool and how I can get my child in preschool.
Well, preschool, so preschool is for 3 and 4-year-old children in the state of Kentucky. That's our state-funded program. And we want every child that possibly could go to preschool to go to preschool. There are lots of options. We really work with families. All they have to do is complete an application, and we have that QR code. We have those applications everywhere. We have them on our preschool page. We have them on the Hardin County Schools page. All a family has to do is fill out that application, and we really take it from there. We will set up an appointment. We will screen the child. We'll work through every avenue we can work through. So the application, you don't have to come into a building and fill it out. You can get online, you can sit in your recliner, you can fill it out, you can submit it. It will send you a copy back, and it'll send us a copy. And then we go from there and start working with families. But preschool is such a positive experience. And I can speak for Hardin County, best program I think in the state. I mean, certainly in those very top 5 programs in our state. And I would gladly let anybody come and look at us to confirm that, because we are such a strong program. We hire great people, we keep families in mind, we keep children in mind, we are developmentally appropriate, but we make it fun. And that's so important to young children to remember how they learn. They can't sit for 30 minutes at a time, and they shouldn't. They should be up moving, they should be engaged, it should be hands-on. That's how they're going to remember. And we look at data at the end of the year, throughout the year, and at the end of the year to see how our kids are doing, and our preschoolers are doing great. There's so many things they learn beyond just math, and literacy. I mean, they're so much more comfortable in their own school building to start kindergarten. They already know the principal in that building. They already know a lot of the staff. They already know how to ride a bus, or they already know how to be dropped off in a drop-off line. They're already familiar with the cafeteria. There's just so many life skills that they learn, and there's so many worries that just kind of slide out the door when they've already been in that building for a while.
And you all track, what a preschooler did. I mean, a preschooler versus a non-preschool student all the way up through their senior year in high school, and you can see the difference. We can still see those differences.
We can. We've actually had lots of examples of children who have been in preschool with us and then have become very successful adults, very successful in high school careers, very successful in college careers, very successful as adults. Right. We recently had a young man who graduated from high school, and when he was having his celebration graduating from high school, I absolutely loved it because one of the, people on the list very quickly was his preschool teacher. Wow. He wanted his preschool teacher at his celebration.
And goosebumps.
Yes, it's awesome because it definitely makes a huge difference.
Right. Parents sometimes have a hard time dropping their child off either for that first day of preschool, which is August 29, or for that first day of kindergarten, which is August 10. And if I'm a parent, first-time parent dropping off my first child, what kind of words of comfort can you give to me, Carlina?
Well, I will say I've been there. I know how that feels. You've had this person with you for a while, and now they're going to be going somewhere and going to school. Probably the biggest thing that I tell families, and we've actually talked about this on our page, building up to kindergarten, is start now. Start right now having that conversation. Drive out to the school. Show your child where that school is. Show them where people park. Show them where the buses will be. Play on the playground, go to open house night, find the classroom, make it a very exciting event because they do have worries. If you've been home the entire time from birth to 5, or you've been with your grandmother and grandfather from birth to 5, going to school is a big adjustment in your life. And it's one of those things I think as parents, it's sometimes harder on us than it is on them. But when we show that we're, very upset about it, then that carries over to them. That's not to say that they can't have some worries about it because it is something new. So, I would start a month out, start changing their bedtime, start making their bedtime a little bit earlier, start getting them up a little bit earlier because that comes early. Talk about what the routine's like. Young children love a routine. So they love to know in the morning, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get up, I'm going to brush my teeth, here my clothes are going to be here, I'm going to either eat breakfast at home or I'm going to eat breakfast at school. I'm going to, get in the car and mom's going to drive me, or I'm going to stand here and mom's going to put me on the bus. Right. So, show them what a bus looks like, start that routine already. And then, take them to open house. Look on our school web pages because a lot of times there's a lot of great information on our school web pages, and I think our schools do a great job of trying to answer those questions that families have. And if you're, if you have some serious concerns about, something special for your child, reach out to your school because they'll try to work with you, to help that child be as comfortable as possible. Right. And that's what we want. Absolutely. If your child is a little bit nervous when you go to open house, take a picture of your child with their teacher. And then when you can show them, this is your teacher. Remember, your teacher, he or she looks just like this. This is who we're going to look for. Some of those unknowns, talking about them on a regular basis, about a month or so leading up to school is so important. And
the tears don't last long. Right?
They don't last long at all. The tears for the children last way shorter than the tears for the adults. Yes. The adults probably have a harder time just because we understand that is your baby. Absolutely. We totally get that. Absolutely. But the kids do great. As soon as they get in there and start realizing that everybody, the lovely thing about preschool and kindergarten, everybody wants to be friends with everybody. That's they do. They just want to know what's going on next, what do we do next. I mean, they love their teachers. They're such a great population to work with. So it's just, it's easy for them to do that. Right. Probably the biggest thing that I caution families or tell families, and it's something I had to learn as a parent too, kids need a lot more sleep sometimes than we give them. I mean, they really need to be, they really, you want to put them to bed early. You want to get plenty of sleep, because that's going to make their experience even more positive. And any mom who has, or dad who has, their routine has changed and a child has missed their normal nap time or something like that, they understand what I'm talking about. So give them more sleep in the beginning. You can always back off, of that if your child doesn't need that much. But they definitely need their rest time, because it makes all of us start the day the way we want.
I think us adults at Central Office should have a nap time.
I agree, yes.
Joke. That is a joke. That is a joke. So we have some questions that were submitted. One of those is about bilingual children, or children maybe who do not speak English, and we can take care of that. We can help with that.
We certainly can. We actually have a department in Hardin County Schools that is their main focus, is making sure that we have all of the resources, materials, staff to be able to meet the needs of all of our families, no matter what communication they need. So we all work very, very close together on that, and work very well. We have a lot of staff in schools that can speak a variety of languages, and we try to make sure that we get children to those places. If not, we bring us to them. Right. So we certainly look at what their needs are and try to match our resources to their needs.
Another way of meeting children where they are. Is there a dress code for preschool?
No, there's no. The school dress code would be the only dress code. We don't say that there's no uniform for preschool. Our children are they're inside, outside, up, down, using all kinds of materials. So, I usually encourage families to let them wear something comfortable, tennis shoes, because we go outside every single day. Every day that the weather is not harmful, we go outside. And children love to play in the rain. So if it's just raindrops, it doesn't stop us from going outside.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because Cecilia Valley has that's an outdoor classroom. Now, obviously, they come in when it's bad, but so there's a question here: what time does the Cecilia Valley outdoor preschool start? I would say the same time as any other preschool start, and they want a supply list, but they just need to talk with Miss. The folks there at Cecilia Valley.
Yes. So in preschool, we don't have a supply list. We provide all of the supplies that they need, with the exception of a backpack. They would definitely need a backpack. We do have some teachers that have wish list items, and families have certainly been gracious to help people with wish list items. But all of our preschool classrooms go outside every single day. We do have an outdoor classroom, but that whole school in preschool goes outside a significant amount of time. So we certainly have, I think, increased the amount of time that a lot of our kids go outside. Definitely that all 4 preschool classrooms at Cecilia Valley go outside a lot. So we all have playgrounds that our preschool children play on. Our preschool teachers take them outside for a nature walk, and we do a lot of learning outside.
Another question here about what supplies do we need to send with them daily to make sure that they have an easy day, water bottles, snacks, etc. And you say probably not a whole lot right there.
No, you can talk with your teacher about if there's something special. We typically supply most everything that they need. If that question has more to do with a child who is, nervous about coming to school, or, has some fear, I probably wouldn't put a lot of things in their backpack, because those are things you're asking a 3 or 4-year-old to probably try to keep up with during the day, and still juggle the art center and the music center and the playground. If you're worried about that, I would say probably one of the best things that I think we've had the most success with is a picture of your family. If you have a child who's worried about just being away from you, just send a picture of your family. We can tape it to their desk. We can put it in their backpack. I often see our teachers say, have it in a place that at the beginning of school that they will say, just these 2 more activities and we're going to see this person, which is mom or dad or grandma or grandpa.
Right. Don't know where to send my child to preschool. They live in the Elizabethtown area, and their 4-year-old, wherever they go to preschool, they would just need to contact our Student Services Department, right?
Yes. They can contact the Student Services Department, or they can call us at 270-769-8911, and we will look that up for them. Yep. We try to be as accommodating as possible in preschool because we don't typically, most of our children, or several of our children, don't go to school every single day. So we try to work with them on, if they've got a child care that the child will go to after preschool, we try to work with them on getting them to the right school that can provide that transportation. Right. Because we have several options in our district. Some children, 4-year-olds, go to school 5 days a week. Some children go to school 3 days a week, and some children go to school 2 days a week. Okay. And we would love nothing more than to offer 5 days a week to everybody, and we would love to have universal preschool for all 4-year-olds, but that is a decision that is above me. It is certainly a decision, yes, that I think we as people who are passionate about early childhood and passionate about giving children the best start ever, certainly still try to help those people who make those decisions understand that early childhood is so important. Right. It's not only a workforce issue, but it is also just a critical child being successful issue. Yeah, so.
and as we and we'll talk about this at the end, see if we have any time left. But as we grow, we need to be thinking more about that. I thought this was a very good question. How do we talk to children and prepare them in case there is any type of an emergency, or, I know there's a lot of focus, obviously, and there always has been on school safety, but how do we talk to children about making sure that school is safe and keeping them safe while they're there? Sure.
I think safety is our number one concern for all of our children in all of our schools, because we realize that, most of us have children of our own and realize that, they're the most important people to us, and we know they're the most important people to their families. I always think it is much like what you do as a family. As a family, you talk to your children when they're very young about what happens in our house if we were to have a fire. You have a plan, you have a meeting point, you have a, code that you use as a family, and you use language that doesn't scare your children, but language that helps them understand what those steps are. And we do the same thing in schools. We don't make it a frightening situation, but we talk to them in their language using, very developmentally appropriate language. For 3- and 4-year-old children and for kindergarten, we use pictures. Yes. And probably one of the most important things we do, we talk about it and we practice it. Yes. Because talking about it and never practicing it is, I often say, much like my husband trying to tell me how to change a flat tire on the road. If he tells me how to do it and we never go through the steps, when it happens to me, I'm probably not going to remember. Right. But if he, while I might not like it at the time, if he makes me do it, then I know how to do it for the future. Right. So, and I think we try to be very consistent. What we do in preschool and what we do in kindergarten mirrors what we do in 1st grade and 2nd grade. So I just become more confident in what I need to do should we have some kind of weather, or something happens that causes us to have to be outside the building or in a different location.
This is a question, and it may be school specific here. Do parents need to be present for kinder camp or can they drop them off a half day? I guess that's a school specific question. Right?
It is school specific, but typically most all of our schools, they do not have to stay the entire time. Now, a lot of our schools have something special for parents either at the same time or at a different time. So like a little kinder college for parents. Yes. All those questions you have about my school, about that school specifically, you have the opportunity to ask, and they can give you some information. Yeah. But kinder camp, in most all of our schools, the child that can be dropped off, and they just kind of, they get acquainted. This is what the room looks like. This is kind of our routine. Right. This is the cafeteria person you're going to see every day. This is our custodian. This is where the buses are.
Right. Last question here that was submitted. Can we pack lunch for kindergartners? The question is absolutely yes, you can.
Absolutely, yes, they absolutely can pack lunch. Now, we'll say, we happen to work for a school system that I think has worked very hard always about trying to provide everything we can for families. And, we do have free lunch and free breakfast for all of our students. students, not just kindergarten, but preschool through 12th grade. So certainly we have that option for them, but if it's something that they want to pack, they absolutely, there's nothing that says
and you
that
may
they
want to
cannot.
go ahead and encourage them to eat that school lunch, because they're going to have to do it for the next 12,
Yes.
12 years, right?
And I will say what we typically find is that, a lot of families who pack their lunch will say, that they only like these foods, but usually those are the same, families a lot of times that will call you and say, my child really wanted the pizza today, my child wanted this. So I certainly would encourage them to try it, because kids will try things for other people more than they'll try it for mom and dad.
Yes.
And speaking from, I'm a very picky eater, and I wish that I would have, long ago been offered food in a way that maybe would have made me try some things, because that's what I did with my kids, and they're great eaters.
Right. So we've got just a couple of minutes left. Read, and read some more.
Yes.
Right?
Read, talk, spend time together, just a little bit every single day talking about that, and you will see a world of growth in your child.
And not just, put them in preschool and kindergarten, we don't have to do that anymore.
No, to keep doing
You probably
it.
need to, again, step on the gas even more, right?
Yes, I think so. And I think there'll eventually be a time that they're reading to you.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
you're still having conversations about vocabulary, and you're still having conversations about, what's going to happen in this, whatever you're reading about, making predictions about, a book you're reading that I think then turns into making predictions about life and what's happening in life, and, that conversation just continues. There's nothing, I think I'm at a point in my life where I have adult children, and there's nothing I enjoy more than the fact that we can have conversations together, and I think that starts when you're very young. When you're a mom or dad and you've really had those conversations with your children when they're little, it just continues on and on and on, and you just reap the benefits so much.
Right. People want to learn more, need more information. There's so many ways to get that. Summarize those real quick.
So I would say for more information, certainly go to the Hardin County Schools webpage. We do a fabulous job, I think, of sending out all the information that you're wanting about our system. Go to the school webpage. The school webpage tells all kinds of specific information about those schools. We have a Hardin County Schools Kindergarten Readiness Facebook page, and we really try to put a lot of information about Brigance, about things that kindergartners will be exploring in the coming year. We have a Hardin County Schools preschool page that does the exact same thing, gives all kinds of information about preschool. You are certainly, if you have a specific question that you cannot find the answer to in all of those, you're more than welcome to call 270-769-8911. If we do not know the answer, we'll get it for you, but usually we can guide you to the right place to be able to find that answer, because we want nothing more than for families to feel positive and happy and excited about their child and what they're getting from Hardin County Schools. And when they're happy and they're excited, it certainly makes everything run smoother.
Right. And folks, I'm not just saying this because she's sitting here, but Carlina, Sharon is probably the most passionate, best person I know to talk about what we just talked about for the last half hour. There's nobody better at this than this lady right here, and she and her team will guide you through this. It's an adventure, it's fun, and we'll all get through it by working together. So thanks for hanging out with us for the last half hour or so. If you have any questions at all about preschool and kindergarten, 270-769-8911, or call your school and they will get you the information that you need. Thanks for hanging out with us.